Cool. We're live, dude. Sipping that
What's
fucking,
up, Jay?
sipping that green tea. Body of a
Yeah,
god.
in a red cup. In a red cup.
Can't see that, man. It's fucking black and white on your end, but I'm liking the look.
Yeah, well, I've travelled back to the 1940s.
Well, do you know what? Touching on that, I watched that TV, well, that film you recommended, Phenomenon, which I always struggle to pronounce. Kind of about UFOs, not necessarily about aliens. However, some people do say they saw aliens in the film, and it was interesting.
Stockings.
Yeah, well, the thing is with it was that some of it I believed when it was talking about the UFO stuff, but then when people were giving their encounters with the aliens, I was like, nah, there's no way.
Oh, which one?
Um, it was near the end, and basically they said something along the lines of like the aliens waved at them back. Like they waved at the aliens, and the aliens waved back, and then they like shot off, and I was just like, nah, I can't believe it. Like I don't know why, it just seemed like a corny kind of bit of bullshit where they're like, oh yeah, we saw the aliens, and then we waved at them, and they waved back, and it was so great. And I think it was in Australia or at a school or something. I was just like,
Yeah, you talking about the one where the craft was like floating and they come out of the top?
yeah. I, do
Yeah.
you know what I
Mate,
mean?
I don't know. I mean, I can't say whether it happened or not. Maybe they exaggerated a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are sharing the story, which is fine. Like that kind of gives it some credibility that a lot of people are saying the same thing. But I just, the aliens come out the top. Oh, we waved at them, and they waved back. And then I can't remember. There was one woman that like walked into the woods and met the aliens, and I'm just thinking, of course you did. Like of all the other people, they only saw a little bit, but you managed to walk into the woods and actually meet them. And I'm always a bit like cautious with people that are like overselling their story. Like I had the best experience. Um,
Yeah, I mean, with like UFO stuff, always got to be skeptical, but mate, I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe it is.
Well, like that guy who done the fifth encounter or whatever it's called, with the
Monkey
meditation app.
Man.
Yeah, with the meditation app.
Dr. Stephen Greer.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm following what you're saying, and there might be an element of truth there. People can call that bullshit, but then he's like, oh, one time I was on like the top of a mountain or a cliff meditating, and we became one. We like synced or something like that. And he's the only person that's had this like experience. He became one with the entity, and then he's like, yeah, and buy my app for 10 quid, and I'll show you how it's done. And I'm like, it's too convenient that you're the guy selling the product and you've had the best experience. Do you know what I mean? It's like me selling fitness gear, and I'm like, yeah, you will buy my fitness gear and you all look good, but I look great because of my fitness gear, so you don't need to buy it, and it's going to
Yeah,
make you
that's
look
pretty much
nice.
that is the fitness industry, right?
Oh, mate, if you go on Instagram, yeah. Fucking
Yeah,
hell.
yeah.
Like,
Snake oil salesman.
yeah, oh, mate, the fitness industry on Instagram does my head in. It's like, we've got resistance bands. These are the best resistance bands. It's like, fuck off. Like, they're, they're the same. Like, all they are
What
is they're
makes them
endorsed by
better
you.
than
Yeah.
the rest?
It,
What makes them better though?
well, that's the point. Like, nothing. Like, they do the job, whether you've got shitty um, kettlebells or you've got fucking on it kettlebells or whatever, I don't know. Like, they do the
Yeah.
same thing. They're weight, like, and they're going to
Weight
work.
is weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same as chin up bars. Like, yes, okay, I want a good chin up bar because it's got to hold into the wall. But if it screws into the wall and it's stable, which is what a £10 one is and what maybe a £30 one
It's
is,
not made of plastic, yeah.
it's going to do the same thing, right? Like, I'm not going to do 4 chin ups on the shitty bar that cost me a tenner and 4 chin ups on the bar that cost me more money and look any fucking different because of it.
No, that's true, yeah.
Um,
Well, the documentary with Stephen Greer, I can't dismiss the videos people took though, because it's legit.
Mm.
People seeing shit when they've used the meditation or whatever.
Yeah, I
That's
mean that.
hard. That's hard to like discount. I just can't. Who knows, mate? Like, I've got to have these experiences myself, and I haven't.
Yeah,
But yeah, Stephen Greer, I think he's a little bit. He's in it for the money. If it was so important, why charge for the app? Just let's use it for free.
yeah, exactly. Like, and that's my problem when it comes to a lot of these things. It's like, yeah, we'll give you all this for free. Like, we want to change the world. Okay,
Mm.
I believe you. But then it's like, yeah, we want to change the world. It's so important. We need to do this. It's so important. But you got to pay 10 quid for it. Right.
And like, I've seen the app because Iden bought it, and it's just a bunch of noise samples.
Exactly.
So
What?
it's not like it's hosted on it's not like a game where it's hosted on a server that has running costs. It's just a bunch of audio files.
Yeah. And that's the other thing as well. Like, just put it in a Dropbox. I mean,
Yeah,
it's £10 per month as well, isn't it? Or is it a one-off? I can't remember.
I believe it's a one-off.
Oh, okay.
Just put it on GitHub.
Yeah,
You know?
and get it for free.
Yeah, Dr.
Well,
Stephen GitHub.
and that's my problem with these things, man. Like, I agree with you. When you look at the evidence, I'm not an expert in UFOs or anything like that. I can only go with what I see and what I feel. And when I look at that shit, it's hard to explain. And then you've got Navy pilots, colonels, high-ranking officials, also saying, this shit is weird. We've never seen it. It moves in a way we can't describe. It moves at this pace. And then you've got people that are trying to debunk it, going, yeah, that was just the bird moving really fast out of camera.
Oh, you mean like Mick West?
Yeah, I mean, I've had him on the podcast 3 times, and some of the stuff I'm like, yeah, fair enough. Like, you've debunked that point to an extent, but then other times I'm like, you just debunk stuff for the sake of debunking stuff, like almost as a way to be like controversial. Like, is there nothing you don't believe in? I don't get it at all. Like JFK,
Oh, he always uses mental gymnastics, don't he?
Mm.
And everything has an answer, even stuff that the officials couldn't prove. He's like, yeah, it was this, you know.
It's like
So
people
yeah,
that
you know,
people that are like, they know what they're on about. They know what they've seen. They're experienced officials in their roles, and it's like they can't prove it, but you can.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like, well, you're in the wrong job, mate. Like, you could be earning 50, 60, 70 grand a year, like, telling these officials what it is, rather than, well, he's minted anyways, but you know what I mean. Like, you kind of got to think to yourself, there's certain things you're trying to debunk, fair enough, but it's been looked at probably, and it's not logical or reasonable because of all the fucking science that supports it.
yeah. The only opinion I agree with him on is flat Earth, but that's so bait. It's so easy. So
Yeah, I read something a while ago, and I spoke to Billy Carlson from Forbidden Knowledge when we were talking, and that was ages ago now, and he was saying, like, flat Earth is an op that's been put in to create division within the conspiracy theorist realms, So now you're partially a conspiracy theorist if you believe in logical conspiracies, which do have elements of shade to them, but then you're not conspiracy theorist enough if you don't believe that the world is flat.
well, the rumor is it was 4chan that really got it going again,
I love that.
because
4chan.
4chan started QAnon.
I know, and
So
people are all on that hype as well. I mean, don't get me wrong,
yeah,
like, there's information out there to be found, like, but 4chan definitely is such a troll site, and yet people seem to run with these things because they make sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, you posting your Elden Ring Saturn theory. I'm sure there's people reading it who are down that rabbit hole going, that makes a lot of sense. And it's
I
like,
want it to be right though,
yeah, but you just
because
spun
then
it.
I can be like, huh?
You just spun it in your room. Like, you just went, I'm going with it, and just started typing it. Like, there's no, there's basis there based on like symbology and what's been looked at that's inspired it, but there is an actual like something you can go, this is 100% true.
Yeah. Well, I just thought like I'm not gonna go for the obvious, and it's like an actual ring because that's too much like Lord of the Rings to me.
Mm.
And I watched the trailer and I thought, well, what are they looking at? Is it the sun? What, like, did something blow up? No one knows, you know? It could be like literally something that's not even physical. It could be like a group of people, group of old elden people that form this circle and they all die. Who knows?
I'm excited
But
for that game, man. I want that trailer badly. Like, just give it to me now.
yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there that are buzzing for it, and we've heard nothing since June 2019. I think, yeah,
That's a long time.
wow, year and a half.
Just
It's
gonna
mad.
add some gain to your audio, I think, because it's just a little bit low from what I can tell. So sorry if anything pops up. It should be all right now. Yeah, I mean, going back to phenomenon, when you've got high-ranking officials who are experienced in their work talking about what they're seeing and what's happening and what they believe, that has credibility to it, 100%. Like, you can't disregard that. And the problem I think we have as a society is we always think UFO aliens. It doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily have to be the case. Maybe it's, you know, extreme Russian technology or extreme American top secret technology from Area 51. Like, we don't know that it's definitely beings from another world. It could just be a drone.
I mean, look, there's footage of stuff out there that they're definitely not made of like metal. They look like creatures. You
Hmm.
know, like the weird worm shit that people have recorded and the strange orbs that just like crash into each other and like explode into 100 others. It's
Yeah.
like maybe it's not even from this fucking universe. It's from another dimension. Who knows? You know?
And that's, I think, an important, like, headspace to get into is that I think so many people were wired in thinking that this is it, when there's other frequencies and waves out there that science backs, like, and
Yeah.
talks about. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, well, I best wear my tinfoil hat. What's he on about? Another universe? Like, no, there is credible science out there that has tried to, in some way, explain that there are different dimensions and other things that
Yeah,
will.
NASA come out and said they found evidence of other dimensions. NASA, you know. I'm
But
sure they probably found it a long time ago, but
yeah,
you know,
that moon landing though,
yeah.
Stanley Kubrick. What are you saying?
It faked 6 moon landings.
Joe Rogan, the great denier now. Like, there's a lot of stuff I don't know about. It's like you was like a massive advocate for we didn't go to the moon, and now suddenly you're like, I don't understand space. Maybe we did go to the moon. I'm like, yeah, mate, that paycheck, boy.
And if you don't like that, turn off your station.
Quality.
You know,
I don't know
I
how.
don't watch.
Go on,
Huh?
sorry. I was going to
I was
probably
just
say
saying
the
I
same
don't
thing.
hardly watch Rogan.
That's it, mate. Like, since he's moved to Spotify, I'm the same, and I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know the numbers and the streams and whatever that he's getting from Spotify. I doubt they're published anywhere. They probably are actually, but it's like since he's moved off, it feels very corporate. You know, even like on
Yeah,
Instagram, I follow him and like his little um, posts that are from previous podcasts. They've got like the Spotify logo and the guest name in that font, and I'm like, yeah, that's all cool. It just seems very corporate now, and I preferred, you know, Alex Jones coming on and just going, America 1976 or what. I'm just like, go on.
Globalists.
Yeah. Go on, Alex, and it just seems very corporate, and the world that we're moving into now is weird as well, because when he did have Alex Jones on recently, Twitter trended and they're like, Joe Rogan shares platform with right-wing extremist Alex Jones. Spotify employees want to quit. And I'm like, why are we entertaining this? Just let them quit.
Well, Joe Rogan always said he's so happy how his channel's always been owned by him. It's always been his thing, even though he hosts it on YouTube. Like, he was in control, and I feel like now it's with Spotify. Like, he is owned.
Yeah.
They obviously get a say in what he does. For 100 million beings, they're not going to be like, yeah, like, we don't care. It's like, nah.
I'm going to say this directly to the camera. Spotify, if you want to sign me up for 25 million, I will spill and shill as much garbage as you want. Sign me up. This is my message to Spotify. Sign me up. We're going to get this as a clip, and I'm going to tag Spotify and just say, sign me up. Whatever you want. Send me the script. I'll read it. It's fine. 25 million. I'm selling out. I'm done.
Here's the thing, right? So Spotify buy Joe Rogan out so they can keep him exclusively on their platform because they want to get more people to join Spotify, right? But do you not think, like, I can't see anyone being like, well, maybe a small percentage of his fans would be like, all right, I'll go to Spotify to watch him from now on. But, like, they forget they're about music. I don't fucking go on Spotify for podcasts. I've got a podcast app for that. So how many, like, he must have lost a lot of people. He hasn't gained more people, I think. He must have lost more viewers, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw in a curveball, and I think personally it's because he's moved to Spotify now, it's about the guests. So if he gets a big guest on there, like when Mike Tyson was on there recently. Yeah, I think so. When Mike Tyson was on there recently, when he had moved to Spotify, I'm sure that was when he was doing Spotify and YouTube. But that was like enticing. Like, okay, I'll just listen to it on Spotify as I drive to work, and I don't need to watch it. I can just listen to it. It's great. But then when you're getting other people on there that personally I've never heard of, probably a lot of people have never heard of, it's like, do I really need to go to Spotify to watch this when I can just go on YouTube and watch clips of the best parts that I want to see?
Well, I managed to get is it RSS feed? Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
I managed to find a link to his RSS feed, Joe Rogan's, and put it in my Apple Podcasts app, and now I've got them back without having to go on Spotify to watch it. Because with Spotify, you can't turn off video.
Yeah, which is annoying.
So if you lock your phone, there's no video, but I want it in audio, so it's a lot easier. But I just don't see the benefit. I know he got paid 100 mil. Who's going to say no? No one. Fine. Fair play. But what is the actual benefit to fans of the show?
Yeah, and I think that's the other point as well. Is like, don't forget your following. I mean, 100 million, fuck it. Whatever, but at the end of the day, you have a core following who, for me, like, I stumbled across Joe Rogan's podcast because of conspiracies he was talking. And now it's like, it's a very rare thing for us to see him doing a conspiracy like documentary. I mean, don't get me wrong, he talks against the narrative sometimes. Like, he'll be like, oh yeah, COVID-19, and then he'll have professionals that talk about it, etc., etc. But at the same time, it's like, it's not the same. Like, I'll need something that's gonna grasp me.
My issue is every episode now is about politics or COVID. That's it. He'll get someone on occasionally, and the whole subject's totally different. Like Graham Hancock and the can't remember the other guy's name, but they were talking about hallucinogenics in like ancient civilizations, the ancient Greeks and all that. Really interesting, but mostly it's just politics, left and right, blah blah blah, Trump, blah blah blah, COVID. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just boring,
I
you
know.
know.
I mean, he gets the luxury of being able to have those conversations to an extent because YouTube's obviously in the areas at the moment of blocking certain words that are being said, certain conversations. And I guess with Spotify, he still has that element of free speech.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I don't even know nowadays what's censored on YouTube, Twitch. I just go for a conversation and hope that hope for the best. Obviously, like
Well,
it's annoying.
I know they took down a load of videos recently of people drinking, like
Yeah,
videos that have been up for like 10 years. They just all of a sudden took them down, just drinking alcohol.
I don't understand the concepts there. Like, I don't get why media and tech and everything seem to want to push everyone to think in one dimension. Like, it's like they almost have the power of
Um,
going drinking videos. No, they never existed on our platform, and I think it's wrong. But at the same time, like, they are private owned companies.
I mean, a lot of people say it's literally all about the freedom of speech and all that, but a lot of it's to do with the advertisers and what they're going to pay you for.
Mm.
Like, advertisers don't want to give someone money for content they don't agree with. So, in the end, it's mostly just about money, like everything else. Money, money. That's like Twitch, right? All these policies they keep bringing in about. Um, I know PogChamp got taken down because the face of PogChamp, apparently he's a Trump supporter or something like that, and it's been there for years. Anyway, so they started having random people once a week for this emote, and of course they ended up having someone who was gay and black, and then obviously dickheads in the chats were like saying racist shit. Um, and like the ripple effect, right? They like when companies make decisions, they never like tell people in advance or give a warning or say, look, the reason why we're doing this, they just do it.
Mm.
And then like it doesn't matter about the consequences. So I think a lot of it's just to do with money and advertisers.
Mm.
I think the whole social side of it for a lot of them is a cover story. It's just we want all the money,
Yeah, money talks.
you know.
The problem with again, like, I'm all for like diversity, but it's like it doesn't need to be rammed down my throat, and you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, rather than like just cracking on and letting things just naturally occur. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, we don't have this, so let's throw it in there and like let everyone see it, and we're so great, and people are kind of just like, right, why are you jamming this down my throat? Like, take a step back, you know.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, I think a problem is people get too hung up on one thing.
Mm.
Like you want to make progress of like social issues, and you keep dragging up the same argument. It's like they never discuss how they could fight it or improve people's ideas of other people. It's always this is what someone said. I'm going to get outraged and leave it at that. It
Yeah,
never improves. It never like progresses. It just you're stuck in the same argument of I don't like what you said, so I'm annoyed and I don't like you.
mm.
And now I'm going to try and silence you, you know?
Yeah, which is,
But
go on. Sorry.
no, I was just saying, but all of this, it just goes in circles. There's no, to be honest, I don't care how controversial this sounds. Just don't talk about it, maybe, a lot of the time. Don't make a big thing out of it because people, you know what people are like. You rise to the bait and then they'll just be even worse about it.
Yeah,
Like, they're all concepts, right? Like, people that are racist, people that are prejudiced against anything, right? If you give them the attention they crave, because a lot of them are just doing it for attention, you just make things worse.
Yeah,
You know?
I agree. Yeah, and on that point as well, it's like, again, like it's good to be inclusive and it's good to have this platform and for people to be able to talk and for you to be able to show like the diversity that you have. But then it gets to a point where you start silencing other people's views that, I'm talking people in the middle, not, hard racists or anything like that. Yes, they should be silenced and they should be banned and that should become like being taken off. But we've got into a place now where if you just say, oh, I liked some of Donald Trump's policies because when I looked into what Donald Trump's administration done, I was pretty shocked. Like it was some good stuff. People are like,
Yeah.
oh, you white supremacist, you neo-Nazi, and it's like, hold on a minute, and then suddenly you're being blocked by Twitter and taken off Facebook and blocked by YouTube, and it's kind of like, how does that work? Like, how by silencing me, how am I going to get educated? You know, and that's
Well, the problem
a
is
weird
too is
concept.
silencing someone on Twitter doesn't change what they said or how they feel.
Mm.
They'll just go to their friends or their local bar or their family and talk about it with them. And maybe they will have similar ideas, or maybe they'll dismiss them and say you're being ignorant. But it's like tribal, I guess. Like you're either one side or the other. You can't be in the middle.
Yeah, which I
Like
think's
you
wrong.
got to fight for us or be against us.
Yeah, and
And I
that's the
think
thing.
that's like, eh?
No, and that's the thing I agree with. Like, there needs to be a middle. There shouldn't be a, left and right, and you're either with us or against us. You either agree with us or shut up. Like, no, there needs to be
Yeah.
an educational standpoint. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, to
go on.
quote Pink Floyd, mate, together we stand, divided we fall.
I say, I like that Floyd plug there. I'm assuming you're a
Yeah,
fan.
a little bit. A little
Yeah.
bit.
Um.
Yeah, but I mean, dividing people is, well, just look at the world, look at history, like it's never worked.
No.
Just makes more trouble. Like I get there's extreme people out there and some people are just unbearable to be around, but why not just try and bring people together? But they don't.
Do you know what I think's funny? When I like literally this has just hit me like pew, in the brain, and I could be wrong, but if you look at it from a standpoint of the divide and conquer, um, the rich people, and I'm talking globally, they all seem to be pally pally and friendly and get along, and then us like middle class and lower class, it's like the stuff that gets pushed down the barrel becomes like where we all start getting divided and going crazy, and it's just like these billionaires and millionaires just seem to be just cracking on. Like, I don't care, whatever. Like, oh, I'll get on with him for a business deal, and I'll make money off him and whatever. And I'm kind of like, even the politicians, do you know what I mean? Like left and right, Labour, Conservative, whatever. Like they all look like, oh yeah, we've got different policies, but then at the end of the day, they're all still going to their little bar together, smoking their cigars together, chatting in the back rooms together, all fine. And yet we're then arguing as normal people about where we stand and being divided, yet they're all kind of coming together in Parliament behind closed doors to make rules and decisions. It's weird.
It, it makes me think of the class system. You know, like in this country, you got upper class, middle class, lower class. Or it's not really something people say a lot anymore, but it's still judged that way, right? If some girl was attacked or murdered, they'd be like she was a middle class woman from London, upper class, whatever. And I don't know if you've noticed, but if a tramp was murdered, right, they wouldn't be treated with such attention and kindness as, say, someone who was from a wealthy family, oh, she was from Buxton House, upper class, connections to the Duke, whatever.
Yeah.
I think the class system is very much still a thing, and I think people still treat someone based on where they live, what they do for a living, and their education, you know? And I think it boils down to that.
Yeah, sadly, like we still live in that kind of element of societal programming where it is like, oh, you're upper class, so you know, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
like,
toffee.
yeah, you know, and like even as guys that would go out dating or whatever, it's like, oh, should I approach that girl? Oh, she seems a bit too upper class. Like, I'm from wherever, and she's from up there. So maybe we shouldn't mingle in those social circles. And then there's the few guys that don't give a fuck, They're like, yeah, I'm just going to bowl it over there, be like, you're right, and usually get shot down.
Yeah,
But you get the gist.
yeah.
Like, even as a society, we're so programmed to, like, look at people in a certain way, even like skin color and so on. Like, we look at people in a certain way, and there has to be, those barriers have to be broken down. Not everyone, like, skin color's irrelevant to me, religion irrelevant, like, I don't really care. I just see you as a person. But we definitely judge people, like we'll look at a homeless person and be like, oh yeah, he just wants money for alcohol and drugs, like not actually truly understanding why he may be homeless, what's the backstory there.
Oh yeah, yeah, mate. Prejudice and all that. Like, I think it's part of the human condition. I think we still need to evolve. I think there's still like a pre-history fucking part of our brain that's still animal and tribal, and anything that's like threatening in any sort of way, whether it's intellectual or physical or financial, we just judge it,
Yeah,
based on like some irrelevant property that they have, like their skin color, or whether they're fucking massive and muscly, or whether they're small and like just how you perceive a threat. It all goes back to like, I don't know, our dumb brains. Like, we need to evolve.
yeah. I mean, and the problem is we can only get there through conversations and education, and
Yeah,
that's kind of being stripped away and just shut up by social media and all that stuff. I mean, like the Black Lives Matter movement, I spoke to a few people, privately through inbox, and they were one side, I was the other, you know, based on stuff I looked at, based on stuff they've looked at. So I was like educating them on some points, they were educating me on some points, and then we found the middle ground, and it was like, this is a good thing. We're both now a little bit more enlightened about this situation. How can we
yeah.
help it? How can we stop it from going on? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, if we can't have those conversations, how are we ever going to better ourselves and better our brains from a learning standpoint for how we perceive things?
Because most humans resort to violence, whether it's verbal or physical.
Yeah, and that's the shameful part of society. I think to an extent, it's just like, oh, you're dating my ex girlfriend, so I'm going to beat you up because I'm bigger than you. And it's just like, okay, that makes no sense whatsoever. It isn't going to change anything. Or, oh, you
I think
support
it's
Trump.
about control.
Yeah, but it doesn't
You
change
know,
anything. Like, oh, you support Trump or you support Biden. Let's riot and punch each other up. Like, there'll still be Trump supporters, and like I'll still be a Biden supporter. Like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, because I'm wired the way I'm wired. Educate me instead of
that's
physically
that's it.
attacking me.
If there was no laws, mate, people would just kill someone just because they didn't like the taste of the sandwich they made or something. You know?
Manwich. Can I say that?
Yeah, just don't know, mate. And it doesn't help that some people are genuinely crazy.
Mm.
There's some people out there that are just of a different mindset.
I mean, off on another topic randomly, because we spoke about Elden. Well, I mentioned Elden Ring earlier, and your Reddit post. And I just want that game, man. I mean, how long
Mate,
are we going to wait?
I need another From Software game because they're like my favorite games, and I can put hours into them and enjoy them. They just nail exactly what I want.
Hmm.
And what I was used to with their games is when I got into them, and then you got into them, is Dark Souls 3 came out probably a couple of months after. Yeah, and then obviously we bummed it for like a year and a half.
15 times complete. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, and then by the time we were dead and done with that, then Sekiro come out. And that was great, but it was single player, and once you played it once, there wasn't really much else to do. It was just a a one bang type game. Um, and then you really expected like, well, their next game will come out in a year because they've been doing a year a game. And then they announced this like their most ambitious sort of semi-open world Elden Ring, like Zelda like dungeons and shit. One trailer, and that's that. No one knows anything since
Oh,
June 2019.
give me more, man. That Zelda
You
dungeon
know,
aspect, an open world. Just please be. And the thing is, right, I'm hyping it up in my brain, but I know it's going to be good. I just know it's going to deliver, unless it's going to do a cyberpunk, which I haven't really played, so I can't have too much opinion on it.
funny you bring that up. I've got something to say in regards to that as well on Elden Ring.
Yeah, go on.
I say I at least respect From Software for not bullshitting and hyping it up. They haven't said anything because they know either it's not ready or they know it's good enough that when the time is right, they can show you the finished game. That's what, at least they don't bring out trailers and they're like, yeah, you can do this, you can do that, and then you play the game and it's all gone. You know,
Empty promises, man.
that's Cyberpunk.
Empty those empty promises. It cracked me up watching the YouTube, mate. Used to do my head in, like watching those trailers and feedbacks and stuff. It used to just look awful. Like I was like,
Oh, Cyberpunk.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, is this game really? Like, what are you rendering this with? Like, and then it's YouTube.
PlayStation
Like,
4 footage, mate.
we're gonna look like pixelated people, mate. By the time this gets on YouTube, like, we're gonna be unrecognizable.
Why don't I don't know if you want to do this, but check out Crow B Cat. He's just put up a Cyberpunk video. If you want to pull it up, and you can see some of the really bad glitches and bugs and performance issues it had.
Croby
If you
cat.
want, yeah.
I don't know how I would even pop that up on my screen. Mind, I don't know if you can share screen on your end once it's up. You could try it out because you're hosting. I think if you get it up and then when you click share screen, it will allow you to just share that one page.
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
check it
try.
out. Cyberpunk, please don't demonetize this great episode of podcast because we're
No, they won't
showing
do
off
that.
your glitches. Even if they did, it don't matter. I don't make no money.
No, but they won't. I'm sure they won't do that.
If I do have a wealthy listener, though, or someone who's really wealthy that stumbles across this, feel free to check out my Instagram and email me via the email address on there, thejbpodcast@gmail.com, with a large sum of money that could change my life. I'd be very happy and very grateful, and I promise that probably by the time I'm 70, I might pay it back. Might. Just shilling myself out there, really. Okay. Right. I think if I work this out right, I'm just going to remove myself. And yeah, cool. Right. We've got a big screen here.
I don't know if you hear audio though, will you?
I don't think so. I don't think audio is going to come through. What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, I saw some glitches, but I was pretty lucky with my playthrough, but some of these glitches, mate, are awful.
Oh, it's Cyberpunk. You can fly the cars.
I'm sure that's runs surprisingly well. Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077 is
Oh, I can hear some audio. It's obviously coming through your TV.
PlayStation 4.
We can hear it coming through my TV.
Yeah.
Also was advertised as plays great on Xbox Series X and PS5.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Very focused on PC and current gen consoles.
So, I mean, really,
Is on current gen
the fact of the matter is with this game is they straight up lied. Like, straight up lied.
Yeah.
That's the only like logical conclusion you can come to. They're like, yeah, it's ready. It's like, nah, it's not. It's not.
It reminds me of No Man's Sky. But it was
To
like,
be honest,
of course you can play multiplayer. You can meet people on the other worlds.
yeah, they bullshitted. To be honest though, No Man's Sky, like, even though I don't like the game in general, like, it's come back with like a fuck ton of content all for free. Like, they've turned it around and people really enjoy it now. But
Which is what needs to be done really when you fuck up that badly.
that's what they need to do with that game. They need to update it constantly until it's got shit that works and it's got actual stuff to do. But yeah, mate, I don't know. People get greedy, right? And money.
Yeah. Should we take a 5-minute break?
Yeah, mate. All right.
What I'll do is I'll mute the audio and put the BRB screen on. So for those of you that who are listening to this, sorry if it's loud in your earphones. Skip 5 minutes ahead. It will go past the BRB screen. The same for those watching on YouTube. Cool. Let's get it done. What I'm going to do, I've just come back, is I'm going to use the pause button instead. So hopefully this is going to work. And we are back live and recording after that a little break. For anyone that didn't know, I didn't realise you could just pause the recording rather than doing a BRB screen. So I thought we'd go for that. So sorry if you've skipped ahead 5 minutes and that hasn't been the case. But we're back now, so deal with it. And if you don't like it, turn off your station. Throwing it to the Mike Tyson for that. We haven't spoke about it a lot. I know we did earlier. McGregor, Dustin Poirier. Any views at all? I know you're not massive into the UFC, but I know you like your combat sports.
Well, personally, I don't want McGregor to win. Like I said to you before, I think he's a twat. I don't care how good he is, so I want him to be beat. But that said, based on stuff I saw, stuff I heard from you, probably McGregor's got a high chance of winning.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, we can sit and criticise McGregor, and rightfully so, and people, I think, are very quick to forget that he smacked an old man in the face in a pub, or
Yeah.
through a dolly trolley at a bus that people were on, you know, and he was obviously going through whatever he was going through in that in his life, which doesn't make it acceptable at all. Excuse me. So if you have to judge a guy on merit, like, you know, he's done some shitty things. I think
But
the
he's the golden
UFC,
goose, right?
yeah, the UFC is quite quick to forget about it. I mean, I can't remember who said it. Some MMA journalist or someone said, like, Conor McGregor's the Muhammad Ali of the UFC, you know, and I'm like, I'm like, huh? Like, in what
Fuck
aspect
off.
here? Like, are we talking just competitive in the UFC world? Then maybe, you know, he was the first person to become a double champ in the UFC. He makes the money. He has all the quotes of wisdom, and he brings in the fans and the pay-per-view. Maybe, but in real life, in real world, I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Well, for one, Ali was interesting to watch. If you like someone who's an obnoxious twat, you like McGregor. That's all he is. Like, he's mouthy. Like,
Yeah, with words
never
of,
anything intelligent coming out of his mouth.
well, that's the thing. Like, he spouts these words of wisdom, and again, like, fair enough, but like, I don't feel like you practice what you preach. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, all this kind of, I'm humble and respectful, and, you know, I'm ready to
He
fight.
says
Like,
he's humble.
but he tries to portray that image, doesn't he, to an extent, like, you know, to be
Nah.
calm and respectful. And I just think to myself, like, you know, I mean, it doesn't get spoke about enough, and it was something that was picked up in the Khabib press conference that I picked up, and it was like him offering a drink to Khabib, and obviously Khabib's Muslim, doesn't drink alcohol, and he's like calls him a backwards cunt or something like that, and I'm just like, you're basically you're insulting the dude because of his religion there, like his religious faith. Like, it's not a cool thing to do, man. Do you know what I mean? I don't see how when he calls him a backwards cunt, Khabib a backwards cunt, I don't see what he's trying to achieve there, or any other way of looking at that other than it was kind of like a religious dig, like, because you're Muslim and you don't drink alcohol, you're a backwards cunt.
Why not just not say anything at all? Why not just let the fight speak for itself? Instead of going on and acting like a dickhead.
Yeah, I mean, he's played
Huh?
mind games before with like Jose Aldo, and he knocks him out in like 14 seconds and so on, and it's worked. But in that one, oh, did he light a fire that he couldn't put out? He lit a fire he couldn't put out with Khabib,
Yeah, I
because
know.
all that did with Khabib was just go, I'm just gonna smash and maul you and destroy you. And obviously, there's that potential for the second fight, which, you know, I've even said I'm interested in seeing, just because I've seen how Conor McGregor's come back from defeats when he lost to Nate Diaz and then got the second fight. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
well, I just I just don't see anyone beating Khabib anytime soon, and definitely not McGregor. If they want to
Yeah,
do a number two purely for the money, fine. But I'm gonna say the end result will be Khabib will go out 30-0 against McGregor.
mm. Yeah. I
But
mean,
I tell you what, I'd like Poirier to beat Khabib, no, beat McGregor, and I'd like to see Khabib versus Poirier
yeah, I,
because I
that was a
could
closer
root for
fight.
both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard not to. It's hard to dislike Dustin Poirier. I like Dustin Poirier, and obviously, you know, I'm still trying to get that retweet for me, just calling him the Channing Tatum of the UFC world, and I will get it one day, whether it's from this clip. So I'm gonna say it. Dustin Poirier is the Channing Tatum of the UFC world, and
Yeah, he does look like him.
he's trained by Phil Daru, and obviously I like Phil Daru. I've met him over here in England, one of the best coaches in MMA, in my opinion. And he's obviously got his own sports centre, and he's got a lot of athletes going there. Steffi Cohen, who I've had the honour of hosting on the podcast. Um, Maureen Shea, who works with him as well. I've had her on the podcast. And there's so many great people at his sort of academy and his institution and his sports centre that he's training right now. And I think that he's slowly now getting the recognition that he deserves through mainstream channels. He's had a big segment covered from him and Dustin on ESPN for this McGregor fight, which I tweeted him about and just said, it's good to see you on the big screen again, getting more exposure, because I think he deserves it. The guy's got such good knowledge and such a strong work ethic, and you can see it with Dustin, even in that Khabib fight. It's like, yeah, the guy, like, Khabib tired him out. Khabib did Khabib stuff, but when you look at Dustin's other fights, with Dan Hooker, where they went 5 rounds, like recently, you just think, what a tank. I wouldn't want to fight him, basically.
Yeah, man. I totally agree with you.
But hopefully that Dustin rematch with Khabib, that would be cool. I think that's the fight to make. Just for styles, I think Dustin would probably deserve a second shot at Khabib, and I think he causes him some of the most trouble.
That's true, that, yeah. I think, I don't know, UFC's been more interesting the past year or so, probably post-COVID as well, than boxing right now. Boxing's been a bit, I don't know, it feels like they're holding back all the good fights because of ticket sales. And it's kind of getting like, you need to just accept how it is at the moment and get on with it. But, a lot of back and forth, a lot of, will they or won't they? I mean, obviously the next Fury fight is going to be massive, but I thought by now they would have decided what's happening, like whether they were going to, supposed to be Wilder 3, they could have had it by now, technically. And then we could be talking about the grand finale.
AJ Fury, which I think Fury wins. Personally, I'm a massive Fury fan, so I think he gets the win over
Fury
Joshua.
Will win, mate.
Yeah.
I think AJ's good, but I think Tyson's just on another level.
Yeah. Boxing as well, like right now, is in a weird, I agree with you, in such a weird stage, because, credit to the UFC and Dana White, like, he makes the fights happen, and he, it's like 3 months, 4-month wait, and this fight's happening, but you've got so many fighters fighting, and he's making the fights happen, like, so you got Conor, Dustin, and then the week after, you've got other fighters going on, and then next month we'll have Israel Adesanya fighting, and then you've got Stipe and Francis Ngannou, and it's just like, you're making the fights that the fans want to see, but also they're the correct fights, and you're just going with it and paying them and making it happen. Whereas in boxing, we're kind of it just feels stagnant, like nothing is happening. I know AJ took that fight and he took a massive pay cut because obviously they didn't have no ticket on the gate.
Yeah.
But that unfortunately, that's the world we're living in. Like, the sport shouldn't stop. It's getting so bad that you've got, Logan Paul that's doing an exhibition match with Floyd Mayweather, and they're making tons of money. And you're like, why are YouTube stars, because that's what he is, a YouTube star, fighting one of the best professional boxers ever? Like,
You answered your own question with that one, mate.
Yeah, I don't get it. And if Floyd Mayweather doesn't knock him out, like, within 1 round, it's just embarrassing, and definitely will be another scripted fight, just like McGregor Mayweather was definitely scripted.
Yeah, I have zero interest in that, mate. I've never. It reminds me of like celebrity boxing fights, where it's just all for a charity or for a laugh. I couldn't care less. But I do feel like, why are the top heavyweights only having 1 fight a year? What's that all about? At least have 2 like every 6 months have a fight? Like, why is it like once a year?
Yeah, I
You
think that
know?
shows the state of boxing, though. Like the heavyweight division, it's exciting, but you are only having one fight a year, and I'm like, we need two or three, like heavyweight big
Yeah,
fights that are going on with the people that are at the top, like Dillian Dillian White, Wilder, Fury, Joshua. Like, why are these guys not fighting each other? Like, what is going on? Like, realistically, White should be fighting Wilder, and then whoever wins out of that should have a crack at Joshua versus Fury. But obviously, White has now got to fight Povetkin because he got starched by him, and we'll
yeah.
see.
Has there been any news from Wilder?
I haven't seen anything, mate, other than those conspiracy theories with balls in the glove and indents in the head and problems with the shoes
Yeah.
and just, I mean, Teddy
Funny,
Atlas.
I couldn't see that. I couldn't see that indent when I watched it again.
Yeah. And Teddy Atlas, the thing is, he covered a lot of these like conspiracy claims, and kind of debunks them because he explains the process of boxing because he understands it. He understands that the gloves are checked by a person in, when they go in, the gloves are checked, then the signature gets signed by the other person's camp, whatever. The ref checks them, even the night before, how they get put with the commission now, like to be kept safe, like they're not touched by anyone, and those are the gloves that are going to be used, and they get put on the fighter.
If it was that easy to cheat like that, it would have happened so many times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, why the hell would Fury risk? Why it's just not something I could see the man even considering personally.
Yeah. Especially after that
I
first
know
fight.
he's, eh?
Especially after the first fight and the result he got after being 2 years
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Why would he need to cheat?
Yeah, I just think it's a bitter man with bitter rumours, Just, I mean, he acted like Fury stole his wife. It's like, look, Wilder, you lost because your actual game is the same shit every time. You rely on that punch. If you ain't got that, you've literally got nothing else to give.
Yeah.
And that's that.
And we've seen that knockout power. I mean, I hate the Americans, how they're like, Joe Rogan's a criminal for this. Deontay Wilder's the hardest hitting heavyweight we've ever seen, ever in boxing history. I'm like, no.
I always say, look at George Foreman's fights and you tell me how hard he hits,
Because it doesn't even look like he's putting effort in.
Oh, even Rocky Marciano, how hard he hit. Like, I just, yeah, he hits hard, but he ain't nothing new. But because that's all he has got, it's more emphasized, because that is how he got to where he was. He just knocks everyone out because he's got some like weird strength, but it's not. I don't care if he's a hard hitter. It's how you do it. It's the showmanship, the style, and he ain't got none of that. Boring to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for us to. I always like to add this in there when I'm talking about combat sports. It's easy for us to sit and talk about it than to be in the ring and do it. But these are professional athletes who should have more to their game. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know any more than his coaches know. All I know is what I see, and all I see is that, that right hand looping shots, and I'm just like, where's your boxing? Where's your hiding that punch? You need to hide that shit. It's easy to read. Yeah, slip, all that stuff. Like, and it's fair enough. Like, maybe that is the fighter he is, and that's how he's got to where he's got, and the money in the bank makes sense.
It doesn't help he fought bums though.
A lot of them.
I'm not being funny. You look at his resume, and he fought some shit. Like, name me someone who was great that he's beaten.
Luis Ortiz, Dominic Brazil, maybe.
Fuck Dominic Brazil, man. All right, so Luis Ortiz, there's one. He's had 41 fights?
Excuse me, I just farted. Sorry to anyone who just heard that.
Tell you what, let's bring up his record.
Yeah, let's have a look. Are you
Let's
going to
debate this quickly.
pop it up live, yeah?
Yeah, can do.
I'll get rid of my screen when you're sharing again. Yeah.
Wikipedia's the best place, right?
No, go on
Oh,
BoxRec.
On what?
BoxRec. BoxRec. And then you should find Wilder on there. And it comes up when you scroll down with like the L for the losses and the W's for the wins. I might surprise myself. I can't say I've watched all his fights, so you know. Let's have a look. Lovely.
Right.
Let me get rid of myself.
So, back in 2008, his first professional fight. I don't know what has a question mark by it. I assume that's...
I've got no idea. Maybe you can hover over it and see if it says anything.
No. Whatever. It's on there, so I'll count it. Ethan Cox, Shannon Gray, Richard Green, Joseph Rabot, or Raboti, I don't know what that is, Charles Brown, Kelsey Arnold, Travis Allen, Jerry Vaughan, Ty Cobb, Alvaro Morales. Ringing any bells yet?
No.
Dustin Nichols, Shannon Caudy, whatever, Harold Sconiers, Dan Sheehan. Check a record of one of these guys.
47 bouts. 18 wins, 27 losses.
Yeah. Reggie Penner. Oh, I'm just looking for someone that's actually well known because the majority of this is the US division and I'm not super familiar.
No, I can't claim I am either. So, I mean, Owen Beck there, 29 wins, 10 losses is probably a difficult, a difficult fight for him that he picked up. The same as Marlon Hayes, 23 for 10. David Long, 11 for 1, 17 for 3. But then again, like, we're not going to go into checking their records because they've probably fought,
I'm just looking for someone elite, someone who you could drop their name and everyone knows who they are, or
yeah, sort of a household name. Like George Foreman. Get that Foreman grill.
I've heard of Eric Molina before.
Yeah.
He's 23-2, and then Johan Duhalpus, 32-2. But I don't know, it's irrelevant, whatever. I'm just saying, like, here we are, Luis Ortiz, Tyson Fury, Dominic Brazil, Luis Ortiz, Tyson Fury. So I'd say that his most noteworthy fights were in 2018 and up.
Yeah. I mean,
I do not know, huh?
If we were educated enough, there's probably, Audley Harrison's on there. He's not, well, he is pretty piss poor, but it's, there's probably about 6 fighters in total that he's fought that are big names out of the 42.
All right, fair enough. Maybe I'm wrong about some of them. I ain't got time to look into all of them and see what their legacy is. But on the whole, his legacy, I'm just saying, like, he's fought a lot of people no one even knows.
Mm.
And yeah, he's knocked them all out, but what has he got to his name that will be in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
He hasn't beaten Tyson Fury.
And I draw, which is arguably, you could argue that.
But I'm just doing armchair boxing here, so
yeah.
Don't know. Is that the best the US division has to offer, basically?
Yeah, I think US heavyweight division has gone down in stock, definitely.
Ruiz the US division or the Mexican one?
He was Mexican.
Right.
I think, anyways. I don't know, mate. He's Mexican. That's all I know. But I'm looking
Well,
forward to Fury Joshua. Just to add that in there. I think there's
yeah,
rumours
yeah,
that they might
totally.
have it in Saudi. Which
Probably.
yeah, because I think I don't know, so I can't 100% quote this, but I think their COVID restrictions are a little bit different to ours, which means they can, get a gate for the fight, um, which is extra money for them, and then they'll probably put an extortionate price on the pay per view. But you know, who's not going to buy it? That's the biggest fight in British boxing history, really, probably since Lennox Lewis and how bad is it, Frank Bruno, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think also because let's say when it does happen, we're not in lockdown anymore, so people can go around each other's houses. There's probably going to be a lot more people that are willing to go to their mates and chip in and watch it on TV than go to the pubs now or
Mm.
go to, or even go there and buy a ticket. Like, there's going to be a lot of people watching it at home.
Yeah, and I mean, if you don't like it, turn off your
Leave.
station.
Turn off your station.
um,
Yeah.
no, I agree, and it's a funny one. Like, I think that needs to be made for this summer, and they need to just decide where it's going to be. I don't think boxing fans are necessarily bothered where it's going to be. However, if they know they can sell out Wembley Stadium 90,000 seats, which they can, it's that's a lot of money that they're losing, a lot of money. But at the same time, sometimes you've got to think about the sport and how much money is too much money. Like, if you can get 20 million and 30 million for your fight, just take it and go fight without the fans. Like, do you know what I mean? Rather than, I know, like, we're talking extortionate amounts because they're going to make 110 million, big money.
I'm going to put it out there and could be wrong, but I don't think, unless it's in December, it won't happen this year.
Mm.
It won't be in the summer. I can't see it happening. I think even with the vaccines out now, and they said by the spring we might be able to relax restrictions a bit and hospitality may open up, but I don't think open sport venues with crowds are going to be until next year, personally.
Yeah. It's shit, man, the times we're living in, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is. We've been going for an hour and 7 minutes. Is there any other topics you would like to run through? I'm not tired at all. I'm not bothered. I've just run out of topics to cover at this moment in time.
Yeah, I've got one more thing and then I head off, mate. Twin Peaks. I didn't know anything about it going into it. I just heard it was one of those shows everyone's watched, and it had a big influence on shows of today.
Mm-hmm.
So, I watched the first season and really enjoyed it, but I'd say the biggest hurdle with the first season is it was made in 1990, and you can tell, but do you know what? It's so hard to explain this show without spoiling stuff. Basically, a girl gets murdered in this town called Twin Peaks, which is in Washington State in America. And they send an FBI agent in to investigate it, Agent Dale Cooper. And it's a really weird show. Like, people act really strange, and there's a few normal people, but there's they're really quirky, and there's just this mixture of humor, really really scary shit. The acting's pretty decent, but it's intentionally campy, and it's kind of mocking soap operas of the time. If that makes sense. Like, the actors were told to act over the top and stuff. It's when people watch it and they're like, what the fuck is this? This is shit. It's like, well, it's intended to be like that. But anyway, I can't talk about the plot. I can't say nothing because that's spoiler king. But it was worth watching season 1 and 2, and then the film Fire Walk with Me, and then season 3 was just like insane. I loved it, but it was like insane. Like, you know, we always talk about being able to predict stuff and cliches and tropes.
Yeah.
This show had none of that. I didn't know what was going to happen. And some of the shit that happened, mate, was either fucking hilarious or terrifying. And
Okay.
yeah, it's just up there for me now. I get why people love it so much. And do you know what? It's a show you'd either really like it or you'll really hate it. I can't see there being an in between.
Mm.
If you watch the first episode and you're like, this is shit, you ain't gonna like the rest of it. So,
Is the
but
do you have to watch the seasons to watch the film? Like, does it all carry in?
oh yeah, 1,000%. Like season 1 and 2, then the film, then season 3.
Okay. I didn't
If
even
you
realise
watch
they
the
made a
film
film.
without watching the seasons, you wouldn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah. I'm always
Yeah,
interested by TV because one, you know me, I love a binge. Sopranos,
yeah,
Breaking Bad, all of that. Can't help myself. And two, there's something with TV series is that you don't get with films, and that's, I think, difficulty with TV shows is consistency. To
yeah.
have
That,
that.
and I think the attachment to characters as well.
Mm,
Like you get to know characters over a long period of time, and like you get in a connection to those characters rather than a film where you've got an hour and a half you've got an hour and a half for the film to make you feel something for these people.
yeah, and if you look at the great cinema films, you know, Lord of the Rings, even the Marvel films that people rant and rave about,
Yeah,
they all seem to have this kind of obsession with the characters because it's been built up over such a long period of time. So, for
yeah,
example, you know, Endgame, it's like 10 years in the making of like the Iron Mans and the Captain Americas and this big thing that was going to unveil. And that's kind of like what TV shows do over seasons. And it's like it's such a hard thing to achieve, I think, which is why, you know, you get the average TV shows that are just on, and then you get these great TV shows, and you have to just sit back and appreciate them and go, this is a masterpiece in what it's doing. And I haven't seen any of
totally.
Twin
Yeah,
Peaks, so maybe I'll watch the first episode and probably think it's shit. Because that's me.
maybe you will. I mean, when I first watched it, because I watched most of season 1 a couple of years ago and binned it off, and then I decided to watch it again, and yeah, like totally worth it. Like, I mean, it'd be good if you did, and if you actually did like it, because I'd have someone to talk about it with. So I don't know. I don't think I'd ever know anyone that's watched it, but there's definitely like, especially the themes it explores and like the occult stuff, and
Mm.
without going into it, like it's definitely touching on stuff that me and you have read and known about and looked into before. Without you wouldn't expect it from that show because it's played like a proper drama, like a soap opera, with just
Yeah,
people living their lives, but there's this horrible shit going on, you know. Because season 1 obviously is a product of its time. Like they don't swear in it. It is violent, but it's very like, you know, it's 1990. When you get to season 3, obviously they swear like anything, and the violence, mate, is ridiculous. Um, but yeah, just don't know, mate. And the soundtrack as well for season 3 was awesome.
oh,
Like each episode, when it ended, there'd be this bar and they play a song. It'd always be a different band, and there was like 9 Inch Nails and stuff, and there's a really good soundtrack to it. But yeah, mate, like I said, it's in my top. I think Sopranos, The Wire, Twin Peaks, then Breaking Bad. You know,
really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a bold statement to anyone. So if one person other than me and you listen to this, that's a bold statement.
I mean, that's just how I feel about it. I think what it offered me was something really different than what I've like. Breaking Bad was great, but the premise of it is gangsters, drugs, guns, killing. You know, it just happened to be a man who was a teacher who decided to say fuck it, and the writing was great and the acting was great. But Twin Peaks offered me something that I'd never seen before in a show, like the ideas, like the way the characters were, like so different, so weird. Like, I was just like, it feels like something that hasn't been made before or since.
Yeah.
And it was directed by someone called David Lynch. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
He's made quite a few films, but yeah, mate, yeah, it's up there for me.
Right, if you've still got the DVDs, I'll come around and get them off you at some point.
Yeah, I still got the DVDs, mate.
Perfect.
Well, they're Blu-ray actually.
Are they?
Yeah.
I'll have to get the Blu-ray player out and blow that dust off, you know. Oh.
Yeah, because season 1's like 10 episodes, season 2's like 22, and then season 3's 18.
You didn't tell me that,
So,
bro. 22 episodes, an hour each.
yeah. The first episode's actually an hour and a half. It's like a film. Yeah. And then you got the actual film, which is like 2 hours and 15. And then, yeah, mate, season 3, I was just like, there was times I was watching it, I was like, what the fuck is going on? You know?
Well, what a better way to use lockdown than to watch TV shows that you haven't seen before? You know, or well-rated TV shows, like, because I assume it's rated well. You know, I know the name, but I've never even glimpsed it, to be honest. But I know it's, you know, I think it's ranked up there.
Well, you know, we say, like, The Sopranos kind of started TV shows, like, that quality went up.
Mm.
You know, The Sopranos was like the one that did it first, but I think Twin Peaks is the original godfather of a TV show like that. Like that did it. That was really the first thing in 1990. Like they broke that because they, like I said, like when they made it, they were mocking soap operas because that's all anyone watched back then.
Yeah.
You know, so when there's like a corny, cheesy storyline, they like ham it up on purpose. You know, to say like,
did they do like deliberate CSI stuff where, like, you know, in CSI, like the guy turns up and he like takes off the glasses and he's like,
mate, no, it's weirder than that. But it's kind of like the main character, Dale Cooper, he's like an old-fashioned detective. He even talks like a guy from like the 50s.
Okay.
But yeah, it is fundamentally, it's all about finding the killer of this girl. That's what the whole thing's about.
Is it weird, like the film Fargo, where they're just like, oh yeah, yeah, and no one's like, everyone's just happy.
Yeah, there are similarities with Fargo and that, as in it's a place where these people live, and they're the only type of people that live there. Like a weird town with weird people in it. And there's a few normal people, like totally normal people, but they don't take any notice of the weird people because to them it's normal. You know, like there's a woman that carries around a log.
Because.
But obviously, like, even though they're weird, there's like purpose to them being like that.
Yeah, I was gonna start doing the James deal where I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. ASAP Rocky, yeah, yeah. Let's just do that for the next 20 seconds until we're at a minute and 20. Yeah. No,
Well, I'm
I'll,
watching Fringe now anyway. Like I said, I watched the first episode and I'm going to bear with it and see how it goes because everyone, like all the reviews are saying once you get to season 2, it really picks up. So, but
yeah,
that's an hour each, 22 episodes.
for the first season.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't even touch on The Expanse, but we'll cover that on our next little get
Why,
together, man.
why don't we talk about it when it's over?
The Expanse.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can wait that long.
It'll be over beginning of February. We can,
Why is
no,
it getting cut so short? What's going on with The Witcher? Is that being released this year or not?
this year, from what I've read.
Probably.
Probably Christmas,
Yeah.
like last time.
Just start wishing away my life some more, just so I can get there.
Oh, I know Henry Cavill like broke his fanny or whatever it was. So
Yeah. What, the RTX?
yeah, got one for
Just
nothing, didn't they?
going to your Witcher, a valley of plenty. I'm definitely never going to make it as a singer. But yeah, it's been a good fun chat, man. We definitely need to do this more often, churn out some more episodes, and hopefully people have enjoyed listening to us talking. We've barely scratched the surface on the conversations we can have and do have at some point, involving occults, conspiracies, TV shows, gaming, and all those other things that I've probably missed, sports and so on. So yeah, if people enjoyed this podcast and this episode, give it a like, give it a share on some platforms. Check out the JB podcast __ where I'll be hopefully putting some clips up. And if you want to find Sean anywhere, good luck. Because he ain't really on social media.
No, it's alright. I don't need no one following me.
No. Like that. Devil horns, mate.
Enigma.
Anyways, it's been a pleasure, bro. I'll chat to you off stream quickly anyways.
Yeah, alright, mate.